Hey everybody, Coach Stacy Lynn here, and Grover. Wait, he's right there. My dog over there. That way. There he is. Anyway, so I want to take a minute here to share a couple of things with you today. And first thing I want to do is welcome all the new people who have subscribed. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I have to tell you, it's been a little difficult to rebuild my channel after having it deleted. In case you haven't heard from my previous video, I used to host a podcast called Bible News Radio, and I did that for like 20 years. I was on here for 13, and they deleted 13 years of my work because I dared to interview a guy about the transgender issue. Yeah. So about 1,500 videos. I had about 800 subscribers, all gone. So here I am 3 years later. I'm back as a coach in my new job. But as they always say, old habits die hard. It's kind of hard sometimes to not commentate on things you used to commentate about. So today what I want to do though is I want to share with you my experience dealing with trauma. So one of the reasons why I'm very outspoken about what I see happening in the church is because it's all too common. The very first person I shared that I was being abused to was a pastor who did nothing. He did nothing. Well, technically he told me to go to the school and talk to the school, so that's what he did. And that is really devastating to a young teen, But I also have to tell you this too, and that is that one of the biggest lessons I learned in my own recovery, I ended up going to graduate school. I got all the training to be a therapist, and then I realized after I got all done with it, did all my hours, that I couldn't get licensed in good conscience because I saw where the field of psychotherapy was going 20 years ago. I don't know. God's given me a little foresight for some reason. And I can tell you today that the mental health field is royally messed up, royally messed up. And I may do just another episode on that, but today I wanted to share with you one of the biggest insights that I had, and maybe it will help you. So part of what I help people with today is I actually tend to help a lot of women deal with trauma, and unfortunately, they've had to deal with a lot of narcissistic abuse and things like that. And I've studied that subject. I consider myself an expert on the topic because of the years of training I've done under Dr. Romney. So, but given my own recovery, I also have that, and I've been married for over 30 years. And so, I've got a little experience. That's why in my description, I said I'm a senior citizen, and I am. I know, people, it comes quick, just saying. But here's the lesson I wanted to share with you today about being careful. I remember many years ago, I was in therapy and I was dealing with a lot of anger, which a lot of victims do, right? And because I was so angry, I had so much grief tied to the trauma. My therapist said to me one day, you know what? I'm just trying to be careful. And I kind of took that like, what? Like, what are you trying to be careful with? Do you think I'm going to do something? You know, this was over 20 years ago, by the way, so it wasn't yesterday. And I remember going home thinking to myself, what's she being careful about? And I went back and I talked to her and I said, you know what? I understand that you're trying to be careful, but can you expand on that for me? Because I'm having a little struggle with this. And she said, well, I'm just trying to be careful not to hurt you, because I had not only been violated big time as a kid, But I had also had a really bad experience with a prior therapist before meeting this woman. In fact, my story is that I saw this intern and I saw her for a few years and she wasn't healthy. And let's just say, after a couple of years of seeing her, it didn't end well. And I was very damaged because of it. I reached out to get help. And it literally took 50 therapists. Literally, I'm not kidding you. I literally called 50 therapists before somebody would take me to see me. And that was this person that I ended up spending a long time in therapy with, and who today is actually a good friend of mine. So God is really good. But at the time, my therapist told me, she goes, "Oh, I'm just being careful not to hurt you. I don't want to hurt you, because you've gone through all this and I'm just being really careful because I don't want to hurt you." And by the way, back then, 20, 25 years ago, even closer to 30, really, the world of therapy didn't understand trauma the way that they understand it today. So really, back then, I was technically being treated the wrong way. Which, hey, the fact that I've still recovered is a good thing. But and coaching didn't even exist back then. So when she told me that she wasn't trying to hurt me, I thought about that more. And I came back to her later and I said, I really appreciate you being careful to not hurt me. In my mind, when I heard you say that you're being careful, what I heard was you're being careful not to get caught, because that's what my abuser did. That's what my mother did. That's what that's what these people, there's more than one that abused me. That's what they were doing. I lived in a very closed system. And if you don't know what that is, that's basically, what stays here, stays here. Don't speak anything about what happens in this house. What stays here, right? It was a very closed system. On the outside, we looked good, but on the inside, it was like a house of horror, at least for me. So my mother, my perpetrator, um, they were careful to not get caught. Even when I revealed the abuse, they were careful that they didn't get caught. And so today I just want to throw the idea of being careful out to you, because there are a lot of nefarious individuals out there who are very deceptive. They're manipulative, they're charismatic, they're sociopaths, they're narcissists, and they are doing things so that they're careful to not get caught, as opposed to somebody who's loving and caring and they're careful to not hurt you. My guess is if you're reading this, sorry, I just got a note. It's just like, I'm reading this. My guess is if you're watching this, that was kind of funny, actually. I don't edit, so I'm not going to edit that out. But anyway, my guess is if you're watching this, you understand, because you're probably an empath. You're probably a survivor of abuse, and you probably are like me and you have a mother's heart and you don't want to hurt people. You want to help them. And so, one of the things I wanted to share with you, though, from all my years, is to recognize what people tell you and run it through the lens of safety. So if somebody's careful to not want to hurt you, guess what? They see you as a person and not as an object. If they're careful because they don't want it to get caught, or they're telling you to keep your mouth shut, well, then they're probably a perpetrator. And there's a reason they don't want to get caught. Probably because they're doing criminal activity, right? And if you're younger, then, you might not know. Like, I didn't know. It took me many years. I'm almost 57. I've been in recovery literally since I turned him in, which was when I was about 13. So it takes a long time. And I will share with you just one other thing too. This is really interesting. Not too long ago, I was told by a relative who supported my perpetrator that he died. they didn't feel a need to tell me about it because why would they want to let his victim know that they died? Um, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to order um, the death certificate of this person. And it's really sad. He died 19 years ago. And I just found out 2 days ago what he died of, because nobody in my family system will tell the truth and accept what this person did. It's a tragedy. So look, if you're somebody out there and you've been the one to stand up to the abuse in your system, your family system, or you're the one that got out because you were fortunate enough to stand up and you got out, you ran away like I did, then I want to give kudos to you and congratulate you for being a survivor of really horrible, evil monster people. They're monsters. I know that people don't like the word monster, but anybody that can harm a child or knowingly harm other people, like in the church and women, like Mike Bickle, like Dr. Michael Brown, like Joni Lamb, like who else, just the list goes on and on forever. Selah, amen, Perry Stone. Uh, there's just so many of them. They're predators, and they were careful to not get caught until somebody was strong enough to speak out. And unfortunately, everybody, this is the truth. Unfortunately, most of the time when a survivor of abuse speaks out, they're not going to be supported. They're not. I mean, they're going to be vilified. They're even going to be vilified in Christian media, which is what I posted about last time when some of you joined my channel. And by the way, thank you again for joining. I really appreciate it. Today anyway, though, just to not go on forever, I just want to say, think about being careful. And just for fun, let me know if you're watching this far. Let me know if you've ever encountered somebody who was trying to be careful not to get caught versus being careful not to hurt. Because it's a very, very big distinction, right? So Grover's over there. I guess I'm mirrored. I don't know. Anyway, he's over there. No, he's over. Yeah. Anyway, he enjoyed the talk. I hope you did too. So leave a comment and I'll see you soon in another episode. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like me to discuss, let me know. I'll be happy to consider it.